What is up, everybody? This is the Protecting Neck Podcast, and I'm your host, Dan Tom. Analyst's work you can find over at MMA Junkie as well as the ActionNetwork.com. But on this here program, the Protecting Neck Podcast, we break down, or should I say, we're actually going to recap, and I guess still break down in a different way, high-level MMA. It's going to be UFC Vegas 96, UFC on ESPN 62, UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Bohio. You can't? Oh, I'm going to get my guy Feno on here on the broadcast, by the way. I'm such a bad host here. There's Feno. There's me. And then back. Boom, there he is. Of course, to break down these shows, I got my guy Feno at FenoX Guy. Of course, you can find him as well on the Fight site, the fight-site.com, the fightsite.com feed, by the way. Early Prelims podcast, one of my favorite shows. Feno, what's up, dude?
I'm fine. We're here to recap some fights and another Apex event. They feel like even when the fights are not bad, they feel like more and more empty. I feel like they're not empty when it comes to the public, but empty when it comes to the soul.
Absolutely. Feno was kind enough to do a little makeshift show for us today. Makeshift studio, I should say. But if you can, Feno, either go a little closer to the mic, or the mic closer to you, or project just a little louder. I turned myself down, but I've already turned down to like 50, like 55%, like 50%. I turned myself halfway down because I'm a loud bastard, folks. So hopefully the levels are
closer
okay.
to the mic now. So
my man, cool. We got everybody up in here. Yeah, I didn't really put a restriction on this one, so yeah, this is a free show today. Absolutely. What's up, Ghost Fan? And my enforcer in the house. Yeah. This one's gonna be free. I want to at least make up for Feno. I don't know if you notice. As you are also a member of the Substack, because you don't got to pay to join it. But even though it's not a paid thing, it's not a promise thing, it's a way to support. But I do like to give something to support, even though it's not a promise. Man, I failed for the first time this week for like what have we been running now, like 2 months, Feno?
yeah.
I didn't do the Southpaw report, and I didn't do the alternative card format, which I feel less bad about when it comes to like these cards, because they're such trash. You can only, even my complain and ask can only criticize so much. You know what I'm saying, Feno? But I feel like everybody likes the Southpaw report, from the hardcore analysts to the casuals to the. You good?
You go on. I'll be
You're
right
good. You're good. Yeah, you're good, brother. To the casuals. So since I dropped that one, I figured I might as well give you guys a free show. And it sucked because I actually had the Southpaw report like all time stamped out. Like I had the sheets and everything. It's for 5 different fighters. Only 3 of them had like actual samples, but I went through all those, and I just like the gas tank ran out. Not gonna cry or complain about it. Just explaining what happened. Right? Like I just was like, what, my head's hurting. Who knows all the brain damage I've been doing, and further brain damage, I should say. I'm like, let's actually get some sleep. And the sad part is like I still, sorry, dog's chewing bones in the background. Still didn't get enough sleep to hit the workout that I did want to get in. So hopefully we'll just make this one short and sweet for you guys. But you guys can feel free to comment below. Me and Feno will get to that accordingly. And yeah, because that'll probably be much more entertaining than talking about this card, which we will do from top to bottom. Me and Feno were already kind of talking about the first 2 fights. So like, dude, let's go live. Let's save this for the 5. We got Trevor Mende, the great Dan Tom. Thank you, Trevor, coming in. Ronan Curtis, what's up, Ronan? Feno and Dan, what's going on? James Kendrick in the house. Always good to see James. Thank you for saying that, Feno. I don't know what Feno said, but thank you, Feno. Mark Lifton at Sea, first time catching you guys live. Enjoy your analysis. Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. I always like seeing new, first time, long time listeners, first time callers, so to speak, Mark. So thank you for piping up in the chat. James Kendrick just got into an argument with some doof on X where they were saying this was the best card since 300. What? I mean, I hope it's like a bias thing. Like maybe they hit the jackpot, and they did well. I know some homies that did well on this card. Shouts to them. But yeah, outside of that, I don't see what kind of bias that person could be speaking from, much less to project it onto others. Don't argue too much with those people, James. Rio Southern Truesdale. Let's go. Free show. Thanks, man. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate you guys. I always try to get the bulk of these shows, obviously, on the free ones. Although I do got to figure it out because I always field questions for these so people can participate even if they're not watching live or they're not subscribed. But I'm like, dude, should I do those questions in the beginning? Because if I save them at the end, it's not going to be a part of the free preview. Well, we don't got to worry about that shit today. Everybody can talk and submit to the chat. GM3 hitting that sub. Oh, man. Yeah, that's definitely, that's the highlight for me. We'll get to that for sure. But, yeah, thank you guys. Sound off in the chat below. Hit the like button. Feel free to share out. I'm going to conduct a tweet, and we will get the show on the road. Feno will pop in when he pops in. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, it was another middleweight Apex card, kind of like what Feno was getting to, and they all kind of feel start to feel the same. And this one, like many of them, went to 5 rounds. So there was a lot of crossover. In that
back.
Feno, you missed absolutely nothing. Was just explaining why I gave him the free show. Gave some shout outs to the chats. And picking up where you left off, where not only was it another Apex, it was another middleweight headliner Apex. And
those hit extra deep.
And they always hit the whole 25 minutes, it seems like, right? Like Strickland, Hermanson, Cannonier, Vittori. I know some of those are unkillable characters, like the Grimace Vittori, but I mean, there's something about them. We get graced with a full 5 rounds, and I really wanted to. I was really secretly hoping that it would end before 10 p.m. Ended at like 10:14, so it was really close, right? It was close to the time where like it's either tonight or tomorrow. But I was like, man, I got my energy. I kind of want to talk about this shit, and like beyond whatever tweets that Elon allows of mine to be seen, because I forget, someone was like, because I regularly retweet stuff from my account, right? Whether it's mine or not, and for promotional stuff. And I'm like a terrible bad promoter, so I always laugh when people like go, call me out for actually promoting myself, like for once in a blue moon. Not really blue moon, but you know what I mean. And someone's like, why'd you retweet from your account? And I'm like, because I had a link attached, and Elon fucking subdues all the fucking links or whatever. And then like, it's not even crazy for me to be tinfoil hat and be like, I bet taking away the blue checks and fucking over the journalists and all our money and job opportunities weren't enough, which he did. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some kind of weird fucking limit on our shit too. Not that he's a journalist or whatever, but you have some weird accounts that just don't even like. I never have to like search out. Shout out to our guy Ryan Wagner, one of the best analysts in the space. His shit, he feels like he's like shadow banned or something. So there are weird accounts like that. So you always gotta do that. And I'm gonna share actually right now from my account and say live now with Feno for those who want to join in. But yeah, Kyle Ohio by unanimous decision. Just off the top, I don't know. I feel like I intersperse it enough. Okay, Feno, where like there's a lot of people that don't like the gambling that are hardcores of the show. I think the majority of the hardcores of the show aren't even into the gambling, so I don't know why I'm prompting with an apology here. But like, yeah, surprise, surprise, folks. Hope you're sitting down. 15 in a row, baby. 15 losing events in a row. Only 0.51 units, so it was like a close miss. Like, which means just over a half a unit, Feno. I only bet like 6.22 units, which was a lot for this card. I thought I wasn't even gonna bet like 5 units, like a real small card. I average 7 to 8, by the way, right? So again, playing it under, which you should for a card like this, didn't matter. Just short. I tailed I added a last minute play in the Magni fight for a points handicap, to where basically Magni just had to win 1 round, but that was only for half a unit. So if I didn't add anything, Feno, and I just went in with the slate that I had, it still would have been a losing night. But I argue it would have been worse, because then if you do the math, it would have been just by literally 1.01, $1 I would have lost by. So either way, the streak was determined to live, and we'll talk about that, Feno, because again, Feno is brutally honest, not afraid to be contrarian if he needs to be. He's not afraid to to stand alone. Yeah, Fenyo will help judge if it's Cope or not, starting with the main event, which we already kind of talked about. So I know where you're kind of leaning, but man, of course, my night came down to the main event, Fenyo. Win or lose, the team tends to always do it. And I had Bohio inside the distance, so he had to just win inside the distance. Didn't matter by strike or submission. But if he did do it by submission, like I called for, it would have been big because it would have paid off the round robin. Again, the round robin, we went 1 for 4. So, of course, we hit the one, and
So
then there's
close.
always the one heartbreaker. Fucking classic, right? But a loss is a loss. It was and even in well-meaning, right? Like I had someone just pouring me compliments, so they didn't mean it in a bad way, Fenyo. But they're like, oh, everyone always like, the friendly criticism is even like, oh, it's the long shots that are killing you. It's the long. And I'm like, you don't understand. Even if I got like 2% of the, not even of the long shots, like 2% of the robbery long shots that I should have got, it'd be fucking great. But Fenyo, whether it's a submission, whether it was inside the distance by the strikes, were any of those close? I felt like both were close to me, but I'm obviously biased. I bet on the thing, right?
Yeah.
What did you see? Was it close? Was should that have been a finish for Ohio at the end, or how close was it?
I mean, the submission
I mean, no
looked
submission,
close,
even tap.
but Canyoneer, yeah, he didn't tap. He was okay. And underrated grappler, right? You see his
Yeah.
bottom game against like Glover Teixeira, for example, and he looked pretty good. But if we are real, like that was a knockout. The way, if you're a good referee, like that's insane to me.
Yeah, the body language you're talking about, the way he fell down, right? Yeah.
He dropped so bad. I feel I gotta rewatch like on slow mode, to be honest. But probably
Me too.
it was like the ground and pound that woke him up, right? It was one of those situations where I feel like if Caio would have like walk off, it would have been like a KO stoppage. Like the way Cannonier dropped it was so bad.
Yeah, because he was already on shaky legs. He even got put on shaky legs earlier in the fight, if memory serves, where it looked like Kyle was going to start steamrolling earlier on in the fight until Cannonier fought back.
Yeah, end
Into
of
the
the
fight.
third round, I think it
Yes.
was when Caio hurt him like pretty bad.
Yep. Sorry, bad host. I'm like eating while on the broadcast, but yeah, the dog over here is just going to town on this bone. Sorry, folks, if that's coming through. But yeah, he went down pretty bad, and just the prolonged ones. But I didn't think the ref didn't seem like urgent to stop it. Who was it? Was it Big Dan Fenyo?
Yeah, it was Big Dan.
Which is weird because usually Big Dan has like he's more closer to the what's the
The
guy?
cautious side sometimes, right?
Yeah, it was the Black Pilot guy, Mark Smith. As far as like the that high energy, and but also Big Dan's just very just like regardless of what energy he's at, he's very persuadable. And we're talking about Brownie. Can you chill over there? Jeez, I can't even fucking think straight. Brownie, take it easy. But yeah, like, sorry, now I can't even think. But that's right. We were talking like, how much, I know they're not supposed to account for like age or anything like that, but at the same time, like Cannonier, something that me and you, I know for sure talked about it ahead of this fight, Fenyo, where like he was already hurt going into this fight, before with the regardless of what you thought of the stoppage with the Imavov fight, that was like 2 months ago. So that kind of makes it even more like, oh, but also you brought up a good point, Fenyo. Common sense would say they should have a shorter leash because of that, right? And not let, the 40-year-old guy take another beating, when he's hurt like that, for too long at least, right? But to your point, you're like, oh, maybe they're doing that whole fighter thing where it's just like, you're trying to respect the fighter and you don't want to be on the wrong end. Like, oh man, you saw how pissed the fighter and the fans and everybody got. I don't, the refs never want to be that guy, obviously, but like, they're like, oh, I don't want to be that guy again, Not that he was it the first time, but that was our guy Herzog, I believe. But like, but yeah, so it's like, how much does that fit into it? And then on the other side, which you hear in the post-fight interview, which was like, oh, I really had it, of course, the bets against me, right? where the reason why we have to wait to the very end before the near finish is because Bohio's striking the whole time and not taking down. And sure enough, it's for a reason, because on the post-fight interview, Feno, he's like, I'm no grappler. And like just doing the whole typical MMA fighter thing where he just gets defensive about the thing that nobody really is accusing him of or anything like that. Like, and decides to literally shoot himself in his own foot as far as costing himself a potential finish and bonus, money, more fans, more recognition by fighting safe, but not by fighting safe in the smart way. So by fighting safe in a bad way, being on brand in an MMA fighter, of course, in the classic bad way, while being off brand. Ironically enough, while being off brand of the fighting nerds, I fight smart and I game plan. Because I didn't see, outside of the jabs, which, again, were still too sparse for my liking. Outside of the jabs and straight shots and the head kicks, which I did like, but I feel like he gave that card away too soon, and then the fight got a little too sloppy for him to spam or meaningfully set it up. But outside of that, like, he really didn't do a lot that, like, I would have suspected as far as the game planning goes for Cannonier. And yeah, like, this was just like kind of a spit in the face of the whole fighting nerds thing too, which was really annoying. And then just giving me even though he should have got the finish, still give me flashbacks to his Mahmoud Muradov fight, or whichever one it was. I forget, where it's like I must have had Bohio round 3, because I was just pissed again. Like, holy shit, Feno, folks, listen to me. I don't feel bad about this. I'm not going to miss shit with the way this guy's overinflated. You can't predict how he's going to win. Good luck predicting how he's going to lose when it starts happening, right? Kyle Bohio was on my no bet list, Feno. No bet list. No. None. Fuck this guy. Nope. Can't try. Nope.
Yeah, I feel like he's very vibes based. So,
it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, he has finished some guys that are dangerous. Then he goes to the decision, very dull decision against and he's good. Like, he has beaten like good opposition. This is not like his first like decent win. To be honest, I feel like Petrosian is a very solid win. And now Cannonier. For me, this was very hard to predict because I had no idea like how Caio was going to approach this. I know some of the like smart things in between quotes that fighting nerds do as a camp. Like, for example, I knew that he wasn't going to take Paul Craig down, right? Even though it was probably pretty safe for him to do. But they are the kind of camp that says stuff like that, like, oh, you don't take down the grappler because it's dangerous, right? Which is a very different approach from like Brendan Allen, who just went ahead and took down Paul Craig and fucking him up from the position. Which I feel when you're at that level of grappler, it's like the safest thing to do. But yeah, the only thing that I can imagine is that Cannonier is like, it's like not a great wrestler, but has some tricky reversals sometimes, especially because he's so physically strong, and his ground and pound is brutal. So maybe they didn't want to end up on the bottom position, especially considering this was like his debut in 5 rounds. And on top of that, like, I don't know, man. I don't really know what else it is that probably something that the people are talking so much about. Maybe this is the macho part from Caio Bohio, that he's seen all the flowers and whistles for Prates, for Jan Silva, even for Hoofy. So he's like, I'm also the cool striker, right? Like, it's not just them, right? So maybe something like that.
Shout out to Ghost Phantom, says Kyle went for that arm triangle after dropping Cannonier. Love that nickname. You were so close to getting that sub. Thanks, man. Fortunately, close is not if all these closes, if I wonder what my close record would look like. You know what I'm saying? That's probably like a crazy winning record. As opposed to my sad ass losing record. Real says in Truesdale says, Ghost said this on X. When cards are bad but produce good fights, it gives the UFC an excuse to put more 185 main events and undercard nobodies. Yeah, like that's part of the me like I always get begrudging whenever like they do the non lightweight or featherweight opener and it's like a crappy fight, like it's like a jank weight fight, like right, like not even welterweight. It's a 170-pound jank weight fight, but it'd get a finish. And it's like, oh, see, if you don't know, now you know. And then it's just like, oh god, dude. And then like and I get it. You're doing the job, and this is the reason why I won't get commentary jobs. I think ever. But you hear the what was it? We'll get to it. I think it was like Medina getting his ass kicked. And this is why Dana White picked him, because he could take it. And they're like they're just like, it's like they're visibly like, they've got the dustpan and the broom, and they're just cleaning up after Dana on the broadcast as much as they can. See, this is what Dana means. People give him crap. This is what he means. Like, oh, Jesus. You know what I'm talking about, right, Feno, right?
Yeah.
It's not just
you can see it's the cards are a mess, and now Dana cannot even like blame it on like his matchmakers that used to be the scouters for the UFC, right? I mean, they still scout for Contender Series, but it is Dana personally who's picking most of these guys, so it's like it is his own mess. And he should know that when he puts his hands too deep inside the bag, it becomes a mess, because like he's still like neck deep into the power slap shit.
Dude, I feel like the promos are turning back up. Like he's really pushing it. Like, and it always takes me a second to realize. And I don't want to like insult heavyweights even more by UFC heavyweights even more by associating with power slap. But I'm always like, is this a heavyweight promo, or this is power slap? Because like the heavyweight division now looks like the power slap league. Since 2020, as we talked about on last show, right, Feno?
Yeah.
So it's very interchangeable. The talent.
It's like just like country boys that are overweight. That's power slap, and that's mostly the heavyweight division too.
Yeah, your tweet was funny. You said the Russian ones, they have more racist tattoos, which says something considering this is an MMA based backed promotion is Power Slaps, MMA backed.
I mean, they don't have the tattoos, but they have the beliefs most likely.
Well, we only get to see they actually have to wear shirts, thank God, and slap, so we don't see as much of the tattoos. You know what I'm saying? And usually the questionable ones are like all up in here, and
Yeah. So we don't know if Andrea Lee is like fishing for new boyfriends during power slap events.
Well, the UFC almost like what they had like 3 this week. I mean, one of them didn't make it, right? The Canadian guy in the Contender Series. People were confusing the Nordic guy with all like the white supremacist tattoos for the other bald white racist guy. They're getting confused.
Like the confirmed racist against as opposed to the maybe racist.
Yes, yeah. And then we'll get to the other guy with the rune tattoos on this card, but I want to make down to the chat before we push on away from this fight. James Kendrick, how does hitting one round robin pay it off? Ignorant to betting in terms, but apparent round robins are parlays and they don't have to hit. I will answer that. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Too loud with this one. All right. Sorry. I couldn't focus there. I don't know how much that's coming through. But basically, whether it's a 4-leg round robin or a 5-leg round robin, so long as the odds are high enough, as long as 2 of those outcomes come through, the way I set it up, it pays off the round robin and then some, and you get money. Otherwise, it's not really worth it because it's just way too high of odds to hit, even if it's like air quote easy low odd things. So yeah, like this. So tonight there wasn't a lot to play. Like I barely could even find a fourth leg. I just put Borishev Yontop under 2.5 rounds. We'll get to that minus 115, just because I needed something, and that was like an old school. Like if I do 4 legs, I'll go with something that could be minus money, but it's got to be like a really low minus money. Like, and that's kind of like an air quote anchor, not really. And then Mirror Shark sub I had, which hit. Magni money line, which didn't hit, wasn't close. And the one fight we're talking about now, Bohio sub. So Bohio sub was plus 300 and Mearshart sub was plus 450. And if those hit, so basically, if those hit, it would have paid 3.57 units. And then I had Bohio inside the distance, which would have paid 1.5 units. So that essentially would have been, that's essentially a 5 unit, slash $500, however you want to equate that. That's how big of a swing that was. So just that one call. We'll get to some other calls that, what you guys think. I already know what Feno thinks because he didn't even. I didn't have to complain to him. I didn't even complain to this one about this one publicly or whatever. But yeah, the next fight. Well, let me go a couple more. We got a couple more on Kyle. One more on Kyle, and then we'll go to the next one. I see Eugene Karasu as well. Ghost Phantom says Kyle kept trying to show his knee, and then Keenanar would rack him with the right hook, swallow one leg. Yeah, he was doing that way too close. It was really silly. Like, they always say don't kick in punching range. You see those knockout highlights. Like Kyle was asking for that a couple times, and that's actually when Cannonier lit him up and cut him because he was doing that knee showing or trying to throw his knees and kicks too close, which was really annoying. Just like that's what I like the leg kicks too, because the leg kicks kind of forced him to stay on that outside range because you don't have to be, leg kicks, you can be kind of furthest away, especially when you're going to the calves like Kyle is. So that was good. It almost forced him at the kicking range that he seemingly wanted to stay at, even though I wanted him to
it was
close.
Weird because I felt like he had the leg kicks right there for a lot of the fight, and he was like kind of tentative about it, and Kennedy was not countering most of the leg kicks, right?
Yeah.
But then he decided to switch them for knees that were like way more risky. That was not very like super smart by Caio, that decision.
It almost reminded me of what was it? What we saw last week with the Ramos and Kulabau, where they just abandoned the leg kick. Like if you hurt yourself, I understand that, but outside of that, it's like what happened? Because like you said, he wasn't countering them, so. My only guess would be like Kyle hurt his own leg going for it, but then he was still, he was still kicking.
Landing them here and there, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean he was still kicking arms, and elbows don't feel great to catch either, so he wasn't worried about that. All right, before we go into the co-main event, Jin Karasu, do you mention Power Slap? It's going to be Abu Dhabi. I was praising them for kicking out Shamil Gaziev and Frozen Stroke back in the Apex. But now I have to call out their sports washing. Yeah, I know that's that's hilarious. Yeah, well, the thing is UFC makes it a package deal. So the Power Slap was probably negotiated already with the fights.
Yeah, Dana is like just desperate to have it everywhere, so he's forcing it into shit.
If anything, the Power Slap maybe they would have and they should have called out that Gaziev nonsense anyways and told him to take it back. But part of the reason could be was it's just like, dude, you're gonna make us do Power Slap and you're gonna give us a Power Slap fucking main event in the UFC fights too? No, get this fuck out of here. Like I thought we said one Power Slap, not two.
And it's Dana like fighting with their like social media team and all of them because like. The reception for the Power Slap in the official like UFC channel is awful. Like they downvote the shit out of it. I was subscribed for the UFC official channel on YouTube for like 10 years, and I unsubscribed because they were like spamming the Power Slap shit. So, and I
gotta get those numbers.
I'm probably not the only one, right? There's a lot of MMA fans that do not like that shit at all.
No, it's bad. It's bad because even the shills don't like it. That's what I love. Like all like the blue check MAGA accounts are like, "Come on, please, Dana, we love you, but stop." Like, you know, like they don't care about him slapping the wife, but like they're just like, please stop this though. No, but like, yeah, it's pretty bad. So yeah, you know, can't cry over spilt milk at this point, especially I should be used to it. So co-main event, perhaps more spilt milk. I hit the Ricci play, which good thing I added. Again, Feno, I got ahead of it this week. I said on the podcast, I'm picking Ricci, and then I ended up playing her because, you know, again, I got to go opposite here, right? I have to. Usually I pick, you know, the more proven fighter, which means I'm picking the veteran, right? You know, the old soggy dick special, even though, you know, we're talking about a female here. You know, but I'm talking about fading what I usually do, right? And I usually pick the more effective striker, which is silly. It's not like that's the criteria or the sport or anything, right, Feno? So like I gotta throw that out the paper, right? Like, no, we're not doing that again. We're not picking the more effective striker, right? So we went with the hype, we went with the age, right? We went with the athleticism. You know, and I ended up picking Ricci here to get a decision that she probably shouldn't get. Now, I wasn't surprised that she got the decision, and I wasn't even surprised to see the scorecards. I shouldn't be surprised at this point because I wanted to message you, and they're such smart listeners, Feno. I gotta credit them. People were saying it before I could even say anything, where they were talking about slap and you know all the slop or leaf blower offense and bullshit offense, you know, and because that round one between Ricci and Hill, was the hardest of all those rounds, or was the most of this dynamic of all the rounds, where I felt like Hill was landing not just more consistently through the round, or landing consistently, period, which Ricci I don't think was landing consistently, period, in round one, but she was also landing the cleaner, and there be it more effective shots, because neither girl seemed too affected. They're both going at crazy paces. No one stumbled, right? So it's not like you can be like, well, Hills wasn't taking an effect. Well, you got to keep that same energy for Ricci's as well then. Right? None of them were taking an effect. Okay, so who was landing more? Who was
No,
landing cleaner?
the only shots that were looking to have an effect were the knees inside the clinch that I
Yeah.
think people are like overlooking like big time.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I feel like people are on average, like MMA fans are and judges too are pretty bad at differentiating what knees are landing good and which
Yeah.
are not. Because Ricci was landing knees of her own too, but most of her knees were not of the same quality that Angela Hill's ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of frustrating to be honest.
But the commentary was doing the opposite, where usually they're like, Marsha with Angie, because Angie's a commentator. So it's like usually it's all Angie. It's all like, oh, Angela Hill, this and that. So I don't know if they were trying to counter that, or someone finally got in their ear and be like, listen, you can't just suck her D the whole time, guys, right? You got to talk about the other fighter. And like
the other thing is that Dominic Cruz wasn't there, and they are teammates. So
true. But you know, Bisping's done it before too. Like you go back and watch the Bisping Lemos fight. Like he doesn't talk about anything Lemos does the whole fight. It was so frustrating. And you know, so but I agree. Dom definitely, because Dom, yeah, he's like. But the worst part is Dom doesn't even try to hide it. He goes, Angie said she was working on this in her camp, and you could see exactly what she's working. She said she was working on this exact, and he starts like naming the technical process as if he was there in the camp working with her. We're like, come on, Dom, we know you're fucking Santa Claus. Stop pretending that Santa Claus. Like we're not stupid. Like we know you guys train at the same gym. Like, wow, Angie must have been training this exact underhook getup. We're like, she must have. Dom, tell us. Speculate more, Dom. Because you're not like you're fucking a teammate or teammate.
yeah,
helping her.
he sometimes tries to mask it with like, to me, it looks like.
Yeah, it's so obvious. Like, yeah, he's not afraid to be like the asshole in like any other situation and just call things as they are. But for like things that are obvious, he'll try to like to hide. But yeah, like I don't know how much of it was that, right? Because they're gonna naturally overcorrect the steering wheel. Like a ref who's like, oh, kind of like we were talking about, like, oh, well, Cannoneers, even if it's not the ref, even if it's not even the ref, right? The same ref, like we talked about in the last fight, they're still going to overcorrect the steering wheel for the other ref, right? Like, well, it got stopped early last time. I don't want to be that. I don't want to make it 2 times out and have my name on it, you know? So I'm just going to let Cannoneer just take this fucking beating. You know, so there's a bit of that. but also how much of it, and I hate this because again, I said it on the show, Fenyo, last weekend's show. I said it when we discussed this very theory. We were talking about some questionable Waters and split decisions, and then we
Yeah.
talked about this like right after Ricci's last fight. But the booty, man, it's 30-27. Was that a I'm looking at the booty scorecard? 30-27
That
Ricci?
one is insane. I mean, 30 to 27, I feel like it is a bad card. It's not like the worst of all time. Like rounds were kind of hazy here. I gotta
Sure,
gotta
yeah,
give
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
give some, but still, man, like you didn't see any round for Angela Hill. She was landing like huge knees, denying takedowns. She was landing the better shots. Uh, the only fighter that looked hurt at times during the fight was Ricci. So
Trevor Mendez in the chat. Love soggy dicks. Yep, the soggy dick special. Well, one of them came through. We'll talk about that. We actually hit one of the soggy dick specials. No offense to my guy GM3. Ghost Phantom says, oh wait, let me read the one before actually. Ghost Phantom says, ignoring the caboose and the wacky inflatable arms landing on the head. Do you guys notice that Hill freezes up when right hands land on her? Yeah, yeah. Dan mentioned that in a previous analysis where Hill freezes up and she gets punched in the face. Yeah, I don't think I mentioned that in a minute, but I did see that here. Not so much in round one, but definitely in, if not round two, then round three. Because this reminded me of the Tisha fight. Because even though that one was another bad decision, and even worse in my opinion, even though there was less to judge, I still think it was an even worse, because it was an even clearer decision in my opinion for the Torres fight. But to Ricci's credit, I did end up on the second watch giving the third to Ricci, which isn't crazy. That was her best round. But in that fight, her striking looked better, by the third round, because she's still learning how to strike from orthodox. And when you saw her going southpaw early, the commentary's like, ooh, Ricci going southpaw. But it's like, no, that's because, to our point, Hill was winning because, Fenyo, I said in my analysis, Ricci actually comes into the UFC fighting southpaw, and she's doing a lot of the cannoneer stuff, actually, like where she's switching stances, but it's all about landing the right hand. She's in southpaw,
yeah,
it's counter hooks or lead hooks, right? She's in
yeah,
orthodox, it's a right hand level change. It's all like just kind of salad dressing for a right hand. But ironically, she seemed more effective that way because since she starts, like, one of her first fights is against Lupi Godinez, ironically her first loss, right, in UFC. Outside of Fiorot, I should say, the short notice debut upper class. But outside of that, right, it's her only loss in UFC. And she's learning how to fight orthodox. She looks uncomfortable. And when she starts getting uncomfortable, she starts going southpaw, but that's also when she has her best moments against Lupi, I believe it is. And yeah, so you saw that. That's what told me that Angela was probably outstriking her the first two rounds, even though I suspected it was going to be at least 19-19 on most people's cards because of how things are traditionally scored. And then again, you got the broadcasts, like we talked about, doing the overly focus on Ricci tonight. So then I see my colleagues and stuff who I respect, who have the more notable accounts in the media, right, who are also scoring savvy, and even they're getting kind of tricked, right, and scoring the, oh yeah, Ricci got those rounds, Ricci two up, where it's like, I don't know, I'm more 1919 / with Fenyo, if anything, on Hill two up, I probably would score Hill two up, but I just know better because I just know how this
yeah.
shit
No,
goes.
I knew. I scored the first one for Hill,
Mm.
but yeah, I knew that one went for Ricci like 100%, right? I was joking that he was like, okay, Hill won that round. This looking perfect for for a Ricci decision.
Yep, yep. Well, you said it. She's what did you say, the robbery merchant or whatever? Like
A
she's
robbery machine. She is like right
machine,
now.
yeah, yeah. She's got all the factors though, right? She's got all the factors, and like even at the end of round one, I'm like, even though that was the round I felt best for Hill, I was like, ooh, that they're gonna go Ricci. This could be one of many swing rounds because Ricci ends it, and she also has this man dog thing where like she's like a Diaz brother or like a Diego Brandao, where she's just like she's
Yeah,
always just like doing the tough thing, and she's doing that to look all confident, which she should, or whatever. And Angela Hill does the oh, good job, like to give her a high five. I was like,
Yeah,
no, Angie, no. That's all the justification they need if they weren't already booty objectified. You know? Oh, that was heartbreaking. So, Fanyo, I guess long-winded question. So I cashed the Ricci, but it didn't really do anything because I was kind of dumb, and I probably only should have put a half a unit on the fight to be split decision, which granted, I was only getting plus 200 odds. So I kind of got greedy, and it was one of my first bets of the night, right? Or, because I go top down when I break down the
yep.
cards. And I didn't think there was going to be a lot that I was going to bet. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll throw a whole unit here. So, I don't want to be too hindsight. But, anyways, I kind of just break even on this fight because I had a whole nother unit on fight goes to split no matter who wins. And Fenya, we'll get to it here in a second, but it felt like they were I didn't watch them closely, but according to you and many other people, not only were they handing out splits, but they were handing out splits that probably should have been handed out. And I didn't want to jinx it, Fenyo, because I know my luck. It's hard enough. But I was inside. I'm like, ooh, this is looking good for a fight that I bet to go to split that, has split literally written all over it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I always feel like betting a split is like kind of risky, but if you see the fight playing out, this is like, oh, this is like classic split decision. Like,
Yes. And it played out that way, right? Or am I coping? Or do you think I should have got the split there?
I mean, that's a weird thing to say, right? But
Yeah, you don't want to be. I know you don't want to get crucified because
but
everybody.
but I feel like it's very weird to me that none of the judges saw it for Hill when it was so close, and Hill was doing more damage. Like,
Yeah. She had the bad optics from the what Ghost mentioned, as well as something
I think
I
I think it is crazy that no judge was able to find a scorecard for Hill here, but they were able to give like round two of Busukia versus Marshall to Busukia, where he got like basically knocked out in that round.
again, if only we could have some of these crazy scorecards like in my favor. Now, I credit to fucking Tim Wilkes Booth or whoever that was last week that tried to give me a Tattoo Ivasa card. But outside of that, which didn't matter anyways, like these things don't really tend to go my way. And I know you don't want to get crucified because everybody's at that unfair thing, Fenya, by the way, where they're just like, what do you mean split decision? I remember I got so much shit for one of my prediction articles back when like Ryan Bader fought Phil Davis or Rashad Evans, and my pick was Bader by split decision because I said it's gonna be another boring. It was like the UFC's middleweight run, but they were doing it at light heavyweight, whereas all the wrestlers and they paired them in the way that made the most dullest matchups. Like they gave like Machida Hendo. Like, this is gonna be fireworks. I'm like, no, it's not. It's gonna be old Wood and Hendo trying to chase around Machida. Like this is not gonna be fireworks. Remember that? You know that what era I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? And it was just fucking the worst light heavyweight matchups. It was that era, right? And I'm like, oh, this is like classic. Like these guys are post prime trying to figure out how to. These are two post prime wrestlers trying to figure out how to strike their post prime. This is going to be an ugly striking match that goes to the decision. But Bader has actually been making improvements lately, where Rashad dropped off, right? So I'm like Bader, but it's MMA, right? And it's a close fight. I'm like, I'll say Bader by split decision. I got so much shit because for that, Fenyo, that I stopped even just for fun, and I didn't pick split decision a lot because why would you, right? Except for fights like we're talking about now or this one I'm referencing, right? But it's just that whole thing where everyone's like, what do you mean split? That's the stupidest thing to say. And I hate it because like smart MMA fans and friends of ours will say this, Fenyo. And it's the most like if I could shit on us hipster crowd for a second, we're so hungry to QT and dunk on everybody that I think we do it at a fucking way unhealthy level. And I tried to even correct that with some of myself today and say, like, this guy I'm QTing on, don't fucking dunk on him. I'm just trying to make a point here. And B, we do it for some of the stupidest things, and that's got to be one of them. Really? We're really going to argue that is it really so crazy to say the judges won't agree with each other?
I feel like people get confused. Like, they just mix some shit up because, like, if you say, like, not with respect to betting, to predictions, like, oh, I thought that should have been a split. That's like dumb, right? Because like, what are you saying that one of the judges should have thought different than the others? That's like a
Right.
stupid thing to say in that context, right? But predicting that it's going to be a split decision or betting on a split decision, there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Or
that's
what if you
something
would?
that can happen, right?
Right. Or what? But what about this? Like I'm saying, aren't you surprised that it wasn't a split decision? Is it okay to say that? And if that's okay, which I think it's okay, and I also see the other point in the other one, but I'm like, are we really splitting hairs? Because I agree, it's a stupid way to say it, but we know what the person means. If I told you right now, I almost said it just
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
My
for
fucking
sure.
well, don't answer that. Am I stupid? Because the numbers point to yes, and as we've talked about, Fenyo, more people think I'm dumb than even my negative thinking ass realizes. So maybe don't answer that. But it's like, okay, so what? If I say, oh, don't you think there should have been a split between Hill and Ricci? Doesn't everybody know what the fuck I'm saying?
Everyone knows. Like,
So if we know why is it even a thing? Why is it a thing I have to defend and raise my voice at right now? Because everybody knows and everybody fucking seen it, and it's fucking stupid. It's stupid to me to even complain this much about it. It's just as stupid, but it's stupid. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Stupid phrasing aside, are you surprised that it wasn't a split?
yeah, I was very surprised. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let me go see what James Kendrick. It was good. Cruz wasn't there since we didn't have to deal with his feud with Peterson. Yeah, that's always going on. Absolutely. Sammy Arnett. Fenyo asked this last week, and I think it's relevant this week. But as a ref, do you consider fighters' ability to recover? It should be no, but it's different for everyone. It's like, yeah, no, it should be no. You're right, Sammy. But this week was kind of even more interesting with the Cannoneer taking damage prior. It's like, you know, what was it like? I remember I was at a Contender Series live in like 2019, and that boxer Maxim or whatever died. I forget what it was. What his full name was. I'm sorry, but it was a lighter weight class guy. It was a death in boxing, and that happened on Saturday night, and then the next Tuesday, and this was Herb Dean too, by the way.
Oh wow.
And we got that. I forget what fight it was in Contender Series, but we got like 2 standing stoppages, and one of them was really early, and nobody was complaining, from like fans to any, because like we just had the death in the sport.
Yeah.
So it's like that has nothing to do. That's not even the fighter's history. That's not even the same sport. But it was clear as day that was playing in everybody's head, including the referee, right? So even though it seems like a silly question, because to Sam Arnett's point and our point, right, the answer is no every time. I went through the training. The answer should be no every time. But we're also human beings, right? So you can't help but think of those things. Trevor made, I am probably extremely uneducated in the art of gambling, but my friend won bank on your picks the past couple of weeks. Can you explain why is less probable betting all your, why it is less profitable betting all your picks straight? Because you're gonna need to have like a high pick percentage. Someone's like, dude, you went, I went 11-1 in picks, right? And then like, I don't know if I did great last week, but like the week before that, I think, Fenyo, didn't I go something in 1 in picks or something like as well, right? But I still
Yeah.
lost, right? And not only something that, Fenyo, we always say picks, plays, and analysis are all different things, right? So just because my picks are good, that doesn't mean my bets are good, right? So my picks and my analysis are good. A lot of those nights, a lot of you guys make money off my stuff, and that makes me happy. Because it definitely makes me feel a little less bad, even when I'm like a miserable, depressed bastard like I am now. Because I'm like, cool, like at least I didn't like, at least I was able to help other people, even if I suck, which is cool. But I still fall up short on the plays, right? And so some people go, okay, so why don't you just bet all your picks, right? Well, one, it would take a decent bankroll to do that, unless you were really like, really playing the long game and not, like the real long game, you're like sitting there betting like $1 on a fight, which again, it's like you can't do it some houses that's too low. They'll pay like $5 minimums for one. And, and for me, whatever your arbitrary unit size, whether like, okay, one unit is $20 for me, or one unit is $100 for me, right? I like to try to get a unit back. If I'm betting something, I want at least like a unit back, right? Like, it would feel silly to put out, let's say there's a minus 200 favorite, right? That's a moderate favorite, right? Minus 200. I would have to put out 2 units just to get one. That's a hell of a trade. You got to be really confident in that. Now, favorites are doing really well right now, right? But I don't always pick favorites. So you kind of, if I were to like, let's say try to at least like, what if there's a minus 450 favorite or a minus 600 favorite, or the minus 1,000 favorites? It's like, okay, I'm gonna bet what, like, it's like you got to bet a lot just to get anything back on those. Now you're digging yourself a hole, right? Especially with the luck that I have. I don't even have the bankroll to do that, A, right? To bet every fight on the card. A, first of all. But B, even if I did, it's hard to explain this math here. It'd be really hard to turn a profit, and you'd actually, go on the losing end. Now, the one thing that's tempting is you hear some degenerates, myself as well included there, will be like, some cards, it's almost tempting to go like, man, I just go fire all the dogs on this card, because underdogs is different, right? Underdogs, you don't have to hit as high of a percentage, but if you're betting favorites, for example, what is it? Fuck. I mean, you got to hit at least like 75% to be profitable, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot. And on average, let's say right now let's say an average card is 12 fights. On average, 10 favorites are hitting. So it sounds like it's easy, like, oh yeah, but it's like it's not that easy. You still got to pretty much make sure you're hitting almost every favorite that hits, in other words, to profit. And you're going to be paying for those favorites heftily. So it's not as easy as it sounds.
I think people talking too much about, like, for example, a lot of like guys having picks like around like 60 and 70%. For example, when I used to pick like for like, I think like 6 or 7 years, I used to pick like every fight for every UFC event on Topology, right? Mm-hmm. And I got to like 66%.
That's
right?
Good. That's good.
But
that's actually good.
And I was like picking on fights that a lot of the time that I didn't know the fighters, because when it was newcomers, and I was just picking on like record and stats and shit like that, right? But like bunch of those are favorites, right? That doesn't mean that if I were to bet on all those fights, I would have turned a profit.
Sure, yeah.
The guys that are making a profit are the guys that are, if we're talking just like straight picks, right? No, not parlays, no round robin, nothing of that. It's the guys that are actually finding favorites. I know, finding underdogs that win. Those are the guys that are making money, right? So at the end of the day, it's not just making picks. You gotta make a betting decision to make money, and that's where it gets complicated, because like people say like, oh, just bet every favorite on all the cards, and as you said, like, you're not making money doing that. Like, most of the times you end up on green, but the nights that you're losing bad, right?
Yep.
So that's like holding you back from all the profits from like 2, 4, 6 events go to waste when you have a bad night playing that style, because your profits are so small. So
it's not about being like greedy. Like, it's not about being greedy and not patient. Like, oh, you're too greedy and patient. You can't be happy with infantile small wins. It's like, no, it's not that. It's the fact that the tiny wins are on the table, but the losses way heavier, and they're on the very same table. That's the problem. You can't play one without the other. So again, there's no safe bets. A lot of this comes down to luck, and you obviously, a lot of sharp people make money off favorites, but these are more like what they call short favorites, right? Like something within the minus 300 to 350 and under that range, and to play those, you have to have a big bankroll to make it profitable, right? You got to be laying as much as I make fun of MMA gambling Twitter, but that's why you see them lay like, you know, uh, like 3 units on average on a minus, 155 favorite. Whereas, when they go heavy, they go 5 or 10 units on minus 150 or minus 200 favorites, right? Whereas me, I'm like 2 units. Ooh, look how confident I am, and I'm fucking like clenching my family fortune over here off 2 units. Like that's how I treat it, right? Well, for good reason with my luck, but like, yeah, like there's that, and then there's people where it was like when Conor fought Floyd, right, or whatever. I think even Floyd at like what was it like minus? He got as low as like the minus 300s or 400s or something. He got in the minus 300s. I know, like that low, and even though I'm not rich enough to like profit off of a minus 300, like
Yeah.
people that were emptied their fucking banks on Floyd, right? And I get it, right? Like one of the biggest bets I ever made was $1,000 on Canelo, and I don't even know who he was fighting, Feno, because it was I hit some stupid big bet in a recently new account. I remember. You know what? This might have been. I don't know if it was that account or not. I don't want to say either way and give free advertisement. But yeah, so I didn't hit the and I never do any for this reason. I never do any promos anymore. But gambling accounts, they'll make you, whether you do a promo or not, a lot of them have a certain limit that you have to gamble so much before you can withdraw, right? And I hit some kind of crazy MMA night, back when I used to win. And I wanted to withdraw, and I couldn't because they said I didn't bet enough, right? And I was trying to figure out, and I had to bet it said I had to bet like $700 more, Feno, before I could withdraw anything. And in MMA, I'm like, dude, you know what can happen with $700? This $700 could be gone, right? Because again, even when I'm winning, folks, I actually kept a healthy perspective, and I actually kept realistic, right? But the degenerate side of me was like, well, how can I avoid MMA? I'm like, oh, there's a Canelo fight tonight? I'm like, what's his odds? It was like minus 710, Feno. And I was like, fuck it. So I just threw like whatever money plus some on the Canelo fight, just so it wasn't. I didn't even profit a lot off the minus 700, right? And I threw nearly $1,000 at the damn thing, but it wasn't for the profit. It was just so I could cash out. And I never have that, or not never have that money. I've had that money before, but I never bet that amount on a fight. I usually don't ever. I haven't since, right? It's a rare thing, and even when I did, I don't remember what the profit was, but it wasn't much. It was probably like $172. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get it. So, folks, it's you got to have a huge fucking bankroll for a lot of these things. James Kendrick said, "I thought QTs were for shaming people. If you have more than 1,000 followers, yeah, shots to, yeah, that." I don't blame you for saying that, brother. All right, moving on. Ryan Loader. Loads. Brian, don't blow your loader. Brian, I'm going to shoot my loader. Brian. Oh, is it Brian? I'm saying Brian. Is it Ryan? Sorry, anyway, he beat Robert Valentine, the guy with questionable tattoos, Feno, by strikes via round 2 crucifix. I almost put Loader by decision as the 4th leg, and I'm glad I didn't. Anything on this fight?
I didn't know who these guys were because I didn't watch The Ultimate Fighter. But Loader, but both winners of the finals look pretty cool actually. Like,
yeah, I thought so too. I just had to scrape off their fights. Oh, it's so hard to. It doesn't even show up in the search at first. You have to, anyways. It's just they're
oh yeah, you gotta look for the whole episode. It's a fucking mess. Yeah,
it's fucking awful.
And in the description of the episode, they don't tell you what fight is happening. So you gotta go to like Wikipedia to find what episode it is.
Yep, and then comb through it manually. It's such a pain, dude. I don't know if it was that, that took off the last of my calories to not do the southpaw pour. I don't know if it was the vet trips or what it was. But yeah, I was worn out this week. But I picked Loader for his wrestling, basically in the small cage. And Ulfi seemed like the more grindy guy, but maybe it's my extreme couture bias wanted me to take a flyer on the more action heavy guy who just seems big for the weight class, which was Marion Santos. Kind of covering both these fights at the same time, folks. And so I guess I got the picks right, but again, and that's another thing too. It's like, yeah, I got these picks right, but just like with the 11-1 in picks overall tonight, Fenyo, it's like I'm not getting too crazy about it. I'm not pumping my chest up about it. It doesn't mean anything. I still lost. It's not like it's not like it's replicable, right? It's like people who get too excited for the flashy win that's not replicable. Where guys like me and you know that, but then we're like, oh, watch. Everybody's gonna get all hard and make him like a -1,000 favorite, and be surprised when he doesn't know how to jab.
Yeah.
We got Michael Morales defeated Neil Magny. So this was a weird one. It was hard to kind of figure out where Morales was gonna go, and the line was just too good on Magny. So I picked Morales, obviously, but like the line was too good on Magny, so I couldn't play him straight up. So I just threw Magny in a round robin since I needed stuff for that anyways, and it's a way to not have like a lot of exposure. And then I also added Magny 3.5 points, Fenyo for plus 200, which is basically like either Magny has to win a decision or more importantly, I thought if it went to decision, which it was favored to do, Magny would just have to get a win one round, and that cashes. So he could still lose as long as he wins one round.
That's crazy because he was so close to do that.
I don't know how close it was. I mean, because it looked like he just got blown out of the water to me. But I just wasn't expecting that.
I thought he was taking the round back with the clinching and stuff. To be honest,
yeah. But then he hit the spinning elbow, which is crazy because I hate to say it, which I don't know why, because like I should say it because it's like the one example where I'm comparing John Jones or a black guy to somebody who's not black, yet I'm like scared to do it. But like, and I hate to say it because I'm not the biggest John Jones fan, and Michael Morales, even after this performance, which was great, not taking anything away, he's obviously not proven like a John Jones. Yeah. But in my earlier notes, even there was just even in the Contender Series, like grading the winners all the way back then, Fenyo, I wrote something about this kid reminds me of John Jones. With the rawness, the coming in with the clinch grappling base, and then just kind of turning into like an opportunistic, picking, variating striker.
Yeah.
He's kind of walking a similar John Jones path, no? In his own way?
Yeah, he's more of a boxer than John Jones ever was, but I feel like at the process, there's something there, right? Especially with how long they are. Michael Morales is not the tallest guy in the division. He was shorter than Magny here, but he's very imposing and very long inside the cage. Yeah,
he's a real athlete. He's not jank-weight. He's not in jank-weight. He's a real athlete.
No. Yeah, it's like cheating because he's like a regular fighter who is very, very athletic. Unlike, for example, Chaos Williams, who I always throw shit at that.
Yeah.
And he's like very athletic, but he's just doing an even worse version of the Dricus du Plessis, right? So,
well, you know who he is. And he's like the same frame. I think he's the same measurements too, with a longer reach, I want to say, because I think Darren Till was 74 inches, like a Connor reach, I think. But Darren Till was also 6 foot. And I know he did go to middleweight and had trouble making welterweight, but remember how overblown they would like go, Darren Till is a gorilla in there. Oh, really don't know how he makes the weight.
Right? I remember when he said in the interview, this guy fighting a fucking light heavyweight right there.
Yeah. The Cerrone after, like, remember how much they were just like glazing his size, especially after the Cerrone fight?
And everyone was talking, he was so big, and then he moved to 185. And Riku said he was so...
What's that? Fenyo? Oh. Lost Fenyo. We'll get him back. Folks. He's coming back. He was so... I was curious. He's got me on a cliffhanger, too. He was so... Let's see. We'll get Fenyo back here. I'm gonna try to recall him. But yeah, because Morales is actually legit big though, folks. I don't know if you guys think so too, but he does seem legit big. Loader plus loader. Feno, come back. You froze me. No. Yo, there he is.
We're back.
My man. We're back. You said it left us on a cliffhanger. It said Drika said Till was so what? Weak or strong or?
Yeah, Draco said that Teal was so weak. He said that, like, he
Yeah.
felt so fucking weak inside of there.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be at middleweight. He said that, like.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Morales actually should be at middleweight. I'm not going to be like, because I still think that, what's his name is bigger than Michael Morales. Maybe not stronger, more of an athlete, but bigger is, what's his name that fights at lightweight the guy I keep picking on, Size Bully team captain. The Spaniard.
Joel Alvarez?
Joel Alvarez, yes. He's not as big as Joel Alvarez, right? Who is like the Poetan of lightweight. He spends all year fucking cutting down from 212 to 156. But like he is a legit like big, strong, imposing force, and I think he's enjoying that. Like kind of again, Jones did it more from a length to like what you said, more of a length parody, obviously with a different style, but like. Yeah, I don't know. Just this guy's really coming into his own there. So before we get to the Gerald Meerschaert fight, I just want to get to the loader. We got James Kendrick says loader. He says loader puss, loader puns. Oh, loader puns. Yeah, you guys like the loader puns, huh? Aish, let's go. Ronan, Feno, come back. He's back. Me too.
I'm back.
Said was still so. Yeah, you guys got it. Chris Morales used to be billed as 6'2", but now he's 6 foot. He looks like he's 6'2". I thought 6 foot was short. Like same with Bohio. I don't know how Bohio actually did kind of look more like 6 foot today. I don't know why. Maybe because his head is just like getting huger with the post USADA era that it's
the head of Bohio is so fucking big, man.
Isn't it? I'm as a big headed dude, man. Who was like fight? Okay, so it's like. You ever play the GoldenEye game on N64, Feno?
Yeah.
You know Big Heads mode?
I don't remember the names of the guys.
You know Big Heads mode? You know you can play Big Heads mode where all the guys have big heads? Like, Bilal's like on that team captain and like Fiziv. Like they look like just, you don't have to edit them. Like they look like you could just throw them in the game.
Yeah, right,
and, like,
yeah.
They would blend right the fuck in. Like you put their avatar in there. Like, you don't even have to fuck with the proportions to be funny. Like, it looks like...
Sebastian too. Sebastian a huge head. I realized next to Meerschaert today, like the difference in head size was crazy.
But it's weird though. Shabazian kind of, and not that like Fiziv or Bilal aren't thick either, by the way. But Shabazian also has that weird barrel chest though. That always draws my eyes more than anything. Is weird like barrel like.
Especially because he has those weird like ribs going on.
Yeah, he's got like a heavyweight kickboxer torso.
Yeah.
You know, but then his like arms are like welterweight size. So it just looks, they're not small, but they just still don't look in proportion. Sorry, we're like body judging people, folks here. Morales versus Prates. I don't think they're gonna make that fight. I think they're gonna make Morales versus MVP or Prates versus MVP, but I wouldn't hate it, James. I never thought someone would look huge next to Cannonier. Yeah. I also thought Bahio looked bigger than what he's listed as well. So Meerschaert defeated Edmund Shabazian. Speaking of that, this one made me feel good. I know Edmund trains at Extreme Couture, so that sucks. But I've always been a big GM3 fan here, and I can't. Even though I tried to fade myself, I'm glad I took this Soggy Dick special because I love this dynamic. Oh, by the way, dude, I'm surprised no one clipped me on the last episode. Because I was like looking at like the matchups and I'm like, oh no, they're gonna make me take all these soggy dicks, and I'm like, someone's gonna clip that. And I'm like, it's not good. It's not good. But I'm glad I took. Hey Benjamin, hey buddy, man, I know, baby boy. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I took this one though. Meerschaert got the sub. Fenya, we were talking. We said you said I knew Meerschaert was gonna win as soon as Edmund kept grounding, pounding harder when GM3 did the shell to single leg chain.
Yeah, he did like 3 times and he had it like it was in the bag.
Well, that's part of the reason too. I bet GM3, not just because he's the submissions leader, yada yada yada, but like watching the Edmund tape, even the fight that he won, like I felt like he got kind of fortunate to win that AJ Dobson fight. You know, like AJ, I think actually rocked him if I remember memory serves. And then Edmund tries to take AJ down and ends up on bottom, and like he just gets aggressive with stuff, and his aggression in one way or another always hurts him. And I was like, oh, that's okay, buddy. We can get through the rest of this, man. You okay? All right. The aggression always hurts him and stuff. So yeah. That cash, that was nice. That hit the round robin by sub. Untracked, I had a round 3 ticket, which would have paid a lot, but it's okay. By the way, I actually won untracked. I had a winning night untracked. I think I made over like $1,000. But that's untracked, so because they don't allow you to bet the split decision prop at the table. I can't bet the Cobb Ohio inside the distance at the table. So basically, I was only allowed to bet like the stuff that actually hit. So by happenstance, but again. I've had a couple nights for what it's worth, folks. I've actually had a couple winning nights here in this losing streak, but it's untracked, so that's why I don't talk about it, because it's untracked. What the fuck am I going to say? But for whatever that's worth. So for people questioning, how can this guy continually have good analysis and not get any... It's still bad, don't get me wrong. It's still ungodly bad, but it's not as ungodly bad, at least untracked. If that makes sense. I'm searching hard for caveats, folks. I'm trying to be positive. Here.
I appreciate that. Like you deserve that to count the untracked ones.
I do, but I'm sure people still think I'm honorable enough to trust me. But it's still untracked, so and it's not claimed ahead of time for because the bet's already in. Like I was making some of these bets while like Wang Kong, like I was actually making these bets while Wang Kong was getting her knockout. I missed the joke that everybody had. I had a different Wang Kong joke, but everybody Wang Kong tonight. We'll get to that fight. Francis Marshall defeated Dennis Bazooki. I didn't watch this fight close at all, but yeah, awful scorecard. Not just one scorecard. You said multiple judges gave the second round to Bazooki.
At least one. I'm not sure about the rest, but that's crazy, man.
This one was the classic.
I can understand if the knockdown is not like super bad, but that was like cartoonishly bad. Like it was a huge knockdown, and
it wasn't like Gamrot with the red on the single or Duplessis.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you said. It's like Buzuki coming back in the final minute or so of the round. That's him earning a 9, not winning the round.
Yes. Yeah. Perfectly put, Feno. Yeah, perfectly put. That was Adelaide Bird too with the rogue scorecard. She's the one that always is unfortunately the stereotype for the bad judge. So that's always unfortunate to see her there, because she was actually taking the judging courses in the class. I was like, oh, that's nice to see. She's like not too good to take the classes, and she obviously probably also needs it, right? So it was good to see. It was her and Eric Cologne. And both of them, I think Eric Cologne had a sketchier scorecard somewhere in here too, right? I don't know. Eric Cologne was the one that scored it for Nunes, I think. We'll get to that fight. Vyacheslav Borishev, another split decision. Couldn't I got one of these splits, folks? Come on now. This one seemed like a competitive fight, but I didn't watch it that close. Was this deserved of a split decision? Did the right guy win, Feno?
There was 2 rounds that were kind of murky, so I guess split is fair. But again, I'm in the minority. I score every round for Borshev, despite some bad optics here and there. I thought he did more damage in every round, to be honest.
No worries. Cavalcante defeated Josiane Nunes via split decision. Seemed like the right person won, but I guess the more of the question, should this have been a split, or was it a justifiable split?
It's justifiable. I think 1 and 3 were close. We're very close, actually. But I feel like the right person won, yeah.
Alrighty. I almost wanted to bet Cavalcante just to make everybody who bet, because she was like the popular parlay piece. And with the streak that I'm on, maybe I'll do it next week because the streak it only gets stronger. You know, the monster only gets stronger. So now I'm gonna wait and see what everybody bets Feno, and then I'm gonna roll in like the mush and be like, all right, bet this person, and watch everybody go, oh shit.
You're gonna use your new powers.
My new powers, just fucking take over the world. Like, you know, you'd be like Dr. Evil, unless you pay me $1 million. That's what I feel like. I posted. I feel like Wolf.
Yeah.
I feel like
just like a week before the elections, you're gonna have like a meeting with the Republican Party, and they were like, "I'm gonna bet Kamala if you guys give me."
No, oh god, or I hold up whatever one that whatever betting house that Drake bets at, but then I threaten. It'll be real Dr. Evil like, because I'll threaten to fade Drake, and they'll be like, he loses anyways. Yeah. In fact, we back him with this money. It's not even his money he bets. It's actually our money. We're okay with losing it because he loses anyways. Oh shit, it's backfired. Oh man, I remember. By the way, one of the first times I got drunk with a friend, we found like some empty like rum bottle from like their parents had like a pool party in their backyard, and like we found a bottle that went unaccounted for, so we went behind the fake waterfall in my friend's backyard and started drinking it, and we got like really drunk, and it was one of those points where like, we didn't realize we were drunk, to where like somebody just says something and you just start giggling uncontrollably, and I just remember. We just kept going back and forth, going $1 million. So we just couldn't stop laughing, like. And now it's just hilarious to think because we're in like 6th or 7th grade, right? Like we're like kids, right? Just fucking kids, 2 kids just fucking plastered. Quoting Austin Powers, as annoying as that was to quote that movie. Sorry. And then lastly but not leastly, everybody Wang Kong tonight over Leonardo. Yeah, she just iced her. Poor Leonardo, man.
But rough matchmaking, man.
Like, they just bring her out to get fucked up.
She kind of small for the division too, so.
Dude, it's rough sledding. All right, how do we do on time here? What the hell? Just over an hour. Okay, we're gonna get out of here. Let the clean up the chat and we'll get out of here. Cool, Feno?
Yep.
All right. Ohio used to be listed at 5'10". He did. You're right. Ike. I don't know. Aych. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was silly. That was ridiculous. You're right. Ghost Phantom. GM3 with the Paul Craig game plan. You know, if anybody deserves to call out Paul Craig, it's GM3. He's, you know, I was like, Piper when he did it. Well, you know, come on.
Yeah,
really?
it was lame. It was lame. When GM3 does it, it's like, okay.
I don't care what point he deserves to call people out because he's been that guy for so long and he gets treated like that guy, right?
Yeah, he's like just going for the new version of himself.
Yeah, that's like if Neil Magny finally called someone out. It's like, you know, I don't, especially now, right now, I don't want nothing to do with Neil Magny, but it's like, yeah, goddamn, anybody deserves to call anybody out in that division. It's Neil Magny, the guy that gets called out the most.
Or it's like if, like, I don't know, like Vince Pichel called like Bobby Green, that's fine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not like if Arman Sarukian starts calling for Bobby Green, that's like lame as shit.
Who did it? Was it Yoel Alvarez, or am I just putting that on him because he's clearly public enemy number 1 for me for some reason?
I think he actually did.
Yeah. Oh, he did. Yes. You son of a bitch. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because he fought good and then he ruined it by fucking calling out an old person.
Yeah.
I'm like, again, just real bully mentality. Fucking bully.
Should just have called Paddy like everyone else.
Yeah, what a fucking douche. Rio says in Truesdale says, I mentioned this in the preview. Wang Kong is pronounced Wang Tong, like you heard on the broadcast. She fought not in form because she usually just body jabs girls and inside low kicks like Demir Ismagulov, but she tried different things here. Granted, it is Leonardo who is not good. Plus, she beat Valentina in kickboxing, where Valentina complained about clinching when Val was the one initiating the clinches. That sounds like Val for sure. I didn't see that
Yeah,
fight
that
though.
sounds very Shevchenko actually. Yeah.
And yeah, no, I heard them trying to pronounce it.
I like Valentina more than most people
Yeah,
actually, but she's like sketchy as shit, man. In because one of the fights with Joanna, it's like it's kickboxing, it's not Muay Thai.
yeah.
She's like dumping her like all the time, and when the referee is like getting fed up with her shit, she's like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, she's very much plays that game. And yeah, I apologize for the pronunciation. I still have to get better at it for one, and for two, I don't know if I will because I think I poisoned myself with a nickname. Because I didn't do the Everybody Wang Kong tonight, which would also ruin the nickname if we pronounced it correctly for people that want to have fun with that one, with the '80s song. But for mine, I made the bad joke of like Wang Kong is the new Chinese King Kong in the King Kong Marvel universe because they keep like they always make like parts for China's in those movies. Like they're just gonna make like the Chinese King Kong, but it's gonna be called Wang Kong, and they're just gonna have like a big blur
Or maybe it's
where the
called
dick
King
is.
Ton.
Yeah, we are King Kong. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. So, I just I have Wang Kong in my head as doing the helicopter, swinging its wang around, doing of course, even though it's a female fighter we're talking about, which makes it inappropriate. So yeah, I don't know. I we'll see. We'll see if I can say it the right way. I apologize, Rio. Ronan Curtis, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for this. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna call it. Throw this up. And wish me luck on trying to wake up tomorrow, because even if I didn't do this, I'd probably have a hard time sleeping anyways. God damn, I'm going to wake up early and do some jiu-jitsu this week, god damn it. I'm going to do it. It's one of the only things I got going outside of talking to you guys, which is another reason why I wanted to do this, because like, it's the only thing that makes me sane, especially after just another shitty night of losing my ass publicly in fights. So thank you, Feno, for doing this, man.
Yeah. I mean, I love doing this always.
And thank you guys for being here, of course. Thank you guys, of course. Hit the like button, please. Only like 3 likes. Hit that like button. And yeah, I'll make sure this is free everywhere. But feel free to subscribe at Dan Tom MMA. Not that I deserve it. Feno, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
No, I'll be back with the podcast on Monday, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys. Enjoy yourselves. And always protect your neck.